Yeah, so something that people did mix up was the psychedelics. Is it psychedelics and sensuality or psychedelics and sexuality? And a joke that I had made coming on was, I had been practicing celibacy for a few years. And I say practicing, I didn't say I've been celibate. I've been practicing the concept of it. We had a few, whether or not Monica's celibate is up for fucking debate, okay?
We don't need labels here.
Depends on the day. So I had really been thinking about that. And it was beautiful because there was children who were able to be in the space because we're talking about sensuality, and this idea of what sensuality means isn't just this sexual connection. And also, there is the sexuality, and, something that I definitely want to do, and Emily and I were talking about last night. I was like, oh, we didn't have a conversation about kink or a conversation about different forms of sexual play, because I think as we go through, sensuality is, for me at least, a more of a personal, is how you embody yourself, honestly, because sensuality is really a connection with the self and how you fully show up.
Yes.
And then when you feel fully embodied with your sensual self, at least for me, I don't think there's any particular way, that's where the sexual, now I can at least explore sexuality because I have a sensual relationship with myself. And so sexuality is, we were even talking about this to one of our panelists, Queerly Psychedelic. We were talking about just having, these conversations on, kink and these conversations on play, because that goes into, harm reduction and safety conversations. So
there's a ton of crossover between those two spaces for sure, and that's part of what was so fun for me about this event, was that a lot of the same protocols that you want to use in the kink space are the same protocols that you want to use to safely use psychedelics. And then there's people that want to do all three of those things together, and they should definitely have ways to do that. And people should absolutely be educated on it in a way that's engaging and fun for them. I was just thinking now about also incorporating a tantra element to it, because tantra is all about presence, and one of the most powerful sensual experiences I had was a ganja tantra class where I spent 20 minutes eating a strawberry. So
nice. Yeah, I think I'm a fan in general, right, of taking two concepts that you might not necessarily put together, right, and then seeing what happens when you do that, so in this case psychedelics and sensuality. And I think just by asking that question of hey, what does psychedelics and sensuality have to have in common, have to learn from each other, what do we have to where's the Venn diagrams here, and where are the intersections, interesting things emerge out of that, and I guess for me personally, it was really interesting because I got to speak to things that I had never. I've done a lot of public speaking on psychedelics, but I had never shared some of the things that I did yesterday. And so I got so I appreciate that opportunity to go a layer of vulnerability even deeper. To how have psychedelics informed my own experience of sensuality, which is really just about my relationship with myself, and so that was really interesting for me.
Great spaces.
To add to your share, I think it's really beautiful that that the space, how it was created to open up vulnerability, it took layers and layers of vulnerability to be able to talk about what Monica shared and what you guys share. It was really impactful, especially yes, we hear a lot from the feminine side, but speaking about sexual trauma in public from a men's perspective, it's actually been my first time I've been able to witness something so powerful, and it is so powerful that it was brought up in later conversations of how that empowered people to actually speak on their own stuff as well. And then for me, coming from a place of sexual trauma as well, sensuality has been something that has been so disconnected from as I grew up, because it was always perceived as bad or judged,